So hello from Green Mopeds in southwest London. So today we're taking out this Macrais Z8X, not ZX8, Z8X, for a bit of a spin. As I said, this is a demo bike, so some of the things that you'll see and we'll talk about are sort of pre-production, I guess. Just to recap, so Macrais is a UK-based company, and essentially they are building bikes that initially was to solve a range speed issue for a long commute. Okay, so the person behind this company, he took a TC Max because he wanted to go from Dartford to Cambridge and around the M25, and he bought a TC Max thinking that would be possible, and turned out not to be possible. So he then started looking into sourcing parts himself, and this is one of the end results. Okay, so yes, assembled in the UK, which is obviously a good thing. So a bit about this bike, just to show you the dashboard layout. It's 19 kilowatts max. Okay, so for those of you who know about your licenses, that is fine because it's 8 kilowatt nominal. So you can still ride this on a CBT, because it would have to be over 11 kilowatts nominal or continuous for it to class as something more than a 125cc. So you can do your CBT and you can ride this bike. Okay, so 8 kilowatts nominal. There is no other bike that we do that has as much nominal power. I mean, obviously this is motorbike style, so out of the bikes that we do or we've looked at, the CR6 from Horwin is 6.2 kilowatts max. Okay, so that's got a 72 volt 55 amp hour battery. We looked at the Evoque, which is 20 kilowatts max, but still just under the 11 kilowatts nominal. That was like 10 and a half. That has a 72 volt battery, if I believe correctly, but it's only 103 amp hours. Then you've got, I mean, these are all sort of sub £10,000 bikes. Then you've got above £10,000, you have basically zero. And the 11 kilowatt zeros starting at 14,800 for the base bike. They do have either more capacity or the ability to have more capacity than this bike, but that's also extra money. I mean, you know, extended tanks and stuff like that, it's another couple of thousand, £2,000 or £3,000, etc., etc. So this bike, sort of in my opinion, fulfills a gap between something like a CR6 and basically zero. I mean, the Evoque, we tried it, not sure on whether it's coming or not, or how it's coming. Nice bike, can't complain. It does the same speed as this, won't do the same range because it's only got 103 amp hour battery. This one comes in 3 different guises: 90 amp hour, which this one actually is, 120, and then 160. So obviously with 160 amp hours of juice, you should get sort of like for like. If you were comparing an Evoque with its 103 amp hour battery to this with 160 amp hours, it's about a third more. So sort of by definition, that's what should happen. Especially as the Evoque is 10 kilowatts. Okay, so yeah, I mean the next one down from this that we do would be CR6 Pro, 72 volt 55 amp hours, and this is 160. So again, not really comparable in power or in battery capacity. But anyway, so 19 kilowatts is getting on for 24 odd horsepower, 24, 25 odd horsepower. And that is, of course, in electric terms, that is 80% usable because of the efficiency of electric. Whereas obviously in petrol, it's not that efficient. So you shouldn't really be saying, well, you know, it's only got 24 horsepower, because it's using probably 18 or 19%, 18 or 19 of those horses. Okay, so it's not particularly comparable to a petrol bike. Okay. So these batteries, 3 choices, and you pick and choose the one you want. So these bikes are sort of made to order, but there are sort of standard components. So you order one and you say, right, I want the 90 amp hour battery in this one, and that'll be 7295. If you think about that compared to like the CR6 Pro, so you're getting 3 times as much power, twice as much battery, near enough, for only 300 quid more. Okay, so it might not be as polished, but you know, you're getting a lot more for your money. And if you go for the 160 amp hour, that's only 8295. Okay, so again, you're getting all that power, and compared to a CR6 Pro, you're getting 3 times the battery capacity for basically £1,200 more. Only available in black, if that's an issue, but that's only at the moment. So they've told me that black to start, this black, but they will be looking into other colours as they go along. Okay. So we'll be taking it to a road, A3, so we'll be able to sort of see what it does at speed. But you know, with 24 horsepower on electric, this bike weighs, with the biggest battery, obviously batteries have weight, with the biggest 160 amp hour battery, it's 182 kilos. Okay, so again, if you were comparing it to something like a CR6 Pro, it would be 30-40 kilos more. I mean, just the motor on this bike weighs 24 kilos, and it's in the hub. Okay, so but anyway, it's got the power to sort of compensate for that extra weight. So 182 kilos for the 160 amp hour battery, and I think it's about 162 kilos for the 90 amp hour battery. These batteries are not 18650, the little round ones that you're all used to. These are prismatic, and prismatic batteries are pouch batteries. They're sort of known as pouch batteries, and like little sort of cigarette box size batteries. They're supposed to handle heat better. It's supposed to operate better at higher temperature. Obviously, that's quite unusual out of all the bikes that are around at the moment, but that's the choice that they've made. Okay. In terms of the motor, so what Macrais are doing are they are essentially buying the components they want to add into the bike and then building the bike. So in terms of the motor, they've gone to QS. So QS motors are well known in the electric motor trade. They do all sorts of hub motors, controllers and things like that. So you know, we sell hub bikes that have hub motors of unknown origin in them, and they might well be QS, but QS is a well-known company for that, so wouldn't worry too much about that. As I said, 8 kilowatts nominal and 19 kilowatts max. The motor is hub, so as you can probably tell, no noise, unlike CR6 Pro or a Zero or whatever, or TC Max even. So it is a different sort of riding experience because you are whizzing along silently. The thing with hub motors, when they get bigger, is they are obviously they still need to fit in the wheel, and you would have seen this on our Evoque review, that you end up with some quite large wheels, disproportionately large, I would say, if you compared the front to the back. So these are running on 17-inch wheels, like a CR6, like a TC Max, but the back one has a profile of 200 rather than something like 110, which is what is typical on, a TC Max, for example. So 200 across. The Evoque is actually 225, so it's even bigger. But you're doing that because you have to fit the motor in the wheel, and the motors get wider, obviously, as you put more power into it. So yeah, it's someone tried this bike, or the Evoque, and actually said that for what this bike is, as in a 125cc, it looks a little bit odd that it has such a huge rear wheel, but it's purely down to the fact that they need it to fit the hub motor in. Okay, so and of course you get a lot of grip out of it. All right, then they've paired that with Brembo brakes, so you should know about them. They are one of the best brake systems that you get. Dual discs at the front. Okay, so good stopping power there. Hopefully won't have to test that too much. So around the dash, I think it's probably fair to say this is a bit of work in progress. We sort of got into this a little bit on the static review. So one of the things that you'll notice if you look at the dash is that you've got separate indicator switches on, one on the left, one on the right, for left and right, independent, which obviously means that you can have them both on together. That's essentially how you would turn the hazard lights on. You just press them both. Okay, so they've said that that's going to be changed to a single cluster. Some of these other switches seem to be a bit redundant, or not yet set up correctly. But the dashboard's pretty clear in terms of what you can see, speed. I think this is going to be changed as well. There's going to be another dashboard, maybe clearer. Underneath the tank is no storage. That's something you need to be aware of. So underneath here you've got, underneath the pull button, you've got a charging port, and this still goes into a 13 amp plug, but will take 5 hours to charge. Okay, whether that stays the same or whether you get T2 charging or whatever, then I guess that's going to be looked at. Okay. Some of the things I've noticed already is that these mirrors, while they look nice, are absolutely pointless. You cannot see a thing out of them. They're either not wide enough or just not big enough, but they look good. See there around the dash you've got the chambers for the brake fluid and all things like that. I guess in terms of ride, so I've been told that I have quite long arms, and this is quite a reach, I guess, and that's because they've got the big tank, which I'll be surprised if the battery goes all the way to the top of it. But you are reaching quite a lot forward for it. But I guess you'll get used to it. I mean, this is a bike for two people. There are pegs on the back for the passenger. I don't know if you saw the static review, but you'll notice that the front light is pretty substantial. A lot of elements to it and what have you. so that's obviously good in the dark. We don't have this for much longer, so we can't test out that theory, but it seems to be good. So as you can see, poodling along at 35, no issues, no noise. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take it down the A3 for a little bit. I won't be testing its maximum speed for obvious reasons, but well, not on camera anyway. But I will validate, if I can, that it goes the speed it says. Alright, so I'll be back in just a tick. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Mirror's pointless. Okay, so what, 57, 58. You can see it picks up pretty quick at 70 from 55, just like that. So this is what direct drive does. If you put this through something with a chain, you wouldn't get that, just because of the transmission power. But it's easy to get to 70. As you can see, the only thing you can hear is the wind. So it feels pretty solid. Definitely got the acceleration that none of the next bikes down, the CR6 or the ZC Max would have. Obviously, if you were to put this on at 0 or something and compare it to a 0, you would be getting similar sort of stuff. So what we'll do is we'll come off at the next junction and then see what happens on the way back. So I can see why he did it. Alright, so we'll come off at the next junction and then we'll see what happens from a standing start. Be back in a minute. Okay, so what we're going to do is a 0 to 70 and just see how we get on with that, and we'll put the times up later. Alright, so let's go. So before I even noticed, we were doing 30, 40, 50, 50, 60, 70. But that was that. Alright, so we'll put the times up, but as you can see, that's what 19 kilowatts gives you. So pretty impressive. Okay, so yeah, pretty impressive in terms of acceleration. But then you would expect that from a hub motorbike compared to a chain. So yeah, I'm not too surprised. So I guess you know, in summary, for 8,295. You are talking about £1,200 more than a CR6 Pro, which is the next sort of step down. You're talking £6,000 less than an 11 kilowatt Zero, which is sort of like the next one up. I mean, there are slightly cheaper Zeros, but basically that's the sort of price you're talking about. This bike isn't on the grant, but one of the reasons to be on the grant is to get the 3-year warranty on the battery. So it's stipulation of the grant, and that's one reason to buy a bike that's on the grant, because you get the 3-year warranty. But this bike has a 3-year warranty on the battery anyway. So the 8295 is the price, full stop, inclusive of VAT, if that makes any difference. Okay, so there's no grant on this bike, but still for 8295 it seems pretty good value. Okay, so you can see it's been running for over 1,000 miles, this demo, and still seems pretty solid. So yeah, assembled here. We'll be taking pre-orders on our website, and then it's a 4 to 6 weeks wait. Black is the only colour. I guess if I were to be critical, I think the handlebar stuff needs to be sorted out, which I've been told they are going to sort out. Having indicators on both left and right is a bit confusing, and definitely different mirrors. But I mean, the display, you know, maybe they could do a bit of a better display for sunny weather, but as you can see, we're in full sun now and it's okay, but these sort of monochrome LCD displays aren't always as clear as they could be. Okay, so yeah, 85 mile an hour, 100 and well, over 200 kilometers, so 150 mile range, sort of best case, 5-hour charging. 3 versions, 90 amp, 120 amp or 160 amp hour. 7295 for the 90 amp hour, compared to a CL6 Pro of 55 amp hour, 6 kilowatts. 8 kilowatts nominal. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. If you want to ask us any questions about it, then please feel free to contact us through the myriad of ways that can be done. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thanks very much.